Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a powerful and unsettling story that has been circulating through defense circles, geopolitical discussions, and high-level military briefings. Sweden's silent strike, the advanced technology quietly emerging from a country often seen as calm, neutral, and peaceful, but now standing among the most sophisticated military innovators in the world. This is the technology that is sending shockwaves across Russia's strategic planning and exposing vulnerabilities that the Kremlin would prefer the world never noticed. Sweden has always been recognized for precision engineering, cutting-edge research, and an ability to remain neutral yet extremely prepared. But what has changed in recent years is the speed and scale of its military transformation. What once was a modest defensive posture has now evolved into a high-tech, highly agile, and deeply unpredictable strategic force capable of operating in silence, striking without warning, and gathering intelligence far beyond what Russia expected from a neighboring state. And that silent evolution is exactly what is terrifying Moscow today. At the heart of this shift is a blend of new stealth upgrades, AI-powered sensors, underwater surveillance networks, and next-generation weapons that don't need loud displays to prove their effectiveness. They remain hidden, unseen, and undetected until it is far too late for any enemy to react. And for Russia, a nation dependent on its ability to project power, control strategic waters, and influence Scandinavian airspace, this silent threat is more alarming than any loud show of force. The real story begins with Sweden's mastery of stealth operations. Unlike many larger military powers that showcase their might through size, Sweden focuses on invisibility, responsiveness, and precision. The Swedish principle has always been simple. The strongest weapon is the one the enemy cannot see. As tensions in Europe have risen, Sweden has doubled down on technology that eliminates gaps, closes blind spots, and allows the Swedish armed forces to monitor movements above, below, and across the Baltic Sea without ever revealing their own presence. One of the key elements behind Sweden's transformation is its advanced underwater warfare capability. Russia has long relied on submarines to maintain dominance in the Baltic, but Sweden's underwater detection systems now form a silent shield stretching across key maritime zones. This system uses a network of sensors, sonar arrays, autonomous underwater drones, and classified acoustic technologies designed to detect even the quietest submarine movements. And because these systems operate silently, Russia never knows when it is being tracked. Sweden's AIP-powered submarines, especially the Gotland class and the upcoming Blekinge class, are another source of Russian fear. These vessels run so quietly that even NATO allies during joint exercises have repeatedly struggled to detect them. In fact, one Swedish submarine famously penetrated a U.S. carrier group's defenses during a training exercise and sank the aircraft carrier without ever being detected. This wasn't a lucky incident. It was a demonstration of Swedish stealth capability at a level Russia has no easy way to counter. These submarines function like silent hunters in the Baltic. They can stay submerged for weeks without surfacing, move without producing detectable noise signatures, and strike targets long before the enemy has any idea they are there. Russia's naval strategists understand this advantage all too well. The Baltic Sea is crucial for Russia's military logistics, especially around Kaliningrad. But Sweden's silent underwater presence means Russia can no longer assume control or safe passage. But the silent threat is not limited to underwater systems. Sweden's aerial technology is equally unsettling for Russia. The Saab Gripen fighter jet is widely considered one of the most flexible, efficient, and cost-effective multi-hull fighters in the world. But what truly worries Russia is not its price or its looks. It's the advanced electronic warfare suite integrated into the aircraft. The Gripen can jam enemy radar systems, confuse incoming missiles, and operate in hostile environments where other aircraft cannot survive. It is a perfect blend of stealth, intelligence, and strategic unpredictability. For Russia, which heavily depends on layered air defense systems, the Gripen is a major problem. These jets can slip through radar coverage, disrupt communications, and gather intelligence without exposing themselves to counterattacks. And Sweden is continuously upgrading them with new AI-driven targeting algorithms, enhanced radar capabilities, and future-ready modular components that can be swapped quickly depending on mission requirements. It's a fighter built for modern warfare, tailored to exploit weaknesses in systems like Russia's S-400 and S-500. Alongside the Gripen, Sweden has developed next-generation drones capable of long-range surveillance, electronic interference, and precision targeting. These drones are smaller, smarter, and harder to detect than traditional UAV. Russia, which struggles with counter-drone technology, sees these Swedish innovations as tools capable of penetrating airspace, observing troop movements, and even disabling communication lines, all without triggering traditional defense responses. Another key part of Sweden's silent transformation is its investment in AI-powered battlefield awareness. Sweden is crafting a digital ecosystem able to process incoming data from satellites, drones, ships, aircraft, ground sensors, and even civilian signals. In real time, this system maps threats, identifies patterns, and predicts hostile movement. It's not simply collecting information, it's interpreting it with machine-level speed and accuracy. This gives Sweden the ability to detect unusual behavior, anticipate Russian maneuvers, and track suspicious activity without relying on outdated methods. Russia's military philosophy has always leaned heavily on overwhelming force, mass troop deployments, and intimidation. But Sweden's silent strike strategy flips this approach upside down. Instead of trying to match Russia in size, Sweden targets the blind spots in Russia's strategy. It finds gaps, exploits weaknesses, and uses stealth to undermine assumptions that the Kremlin has relied on for decades. Another factor that amplifies Russia's concern is Sweden's growing cooperation with NATO and its defense partners. Even before officially joining NATO, Sweden had already entered multiple joint projects in missile defense, intelligence sharing, and Arctic monitoring. But now, as a deep, integrated ally, Sweden's silent technologies don't only protect Sweden. They reinforce the entire northern flank of Europe. With the Nordic countries united militarily, Russia's strategic room to maneuver in the region has tightened dramatically. Sweden's strengthening defenses around the island of Gotland are a clear example of strategic intelligence. Gotland sits at a critical maritime choke point, and whoever controls it gains immense influence over Baltic Sea operations. Sweden has transformed the island into a silent fortress equipped with coastal missile defense, radar systems with long-range tracking, and high-mobility ground units. All of this is supported by invisible surveillance, making the island nearly impenetrable. Russia, which once hoped to intimidate Sweden through airspace violations and submarine incursions, now faces a situation where approaching Swedish territory risks immediate detection long before reaching Swedish borders. And because Sweden's systems are highly mobile, Russia cannot determine which positions are fixed, which are decoys, and which are on the move. This unpredictability is deeply frustrating for Russian planners. Beyond hardware, Sweden's cybersecurity and electronic warfare capabilities are among the most advanced in Europe. Russia frequently depends on cyber attacks, disinformation, and electronic interference to destabilize neighboring countries. But Sweden has invested heavily in digital defense, creating a cybersecurity shield supported by AI monitoring, threat prediction algorithms, and joint information networks. These systems can identify cyber threats early, isolate them, counter them, and trace their origin with extraordinary precision. Russia's cyber units operate on speed and surprise. Yet Sweden's digital defenses slow them down, expose their methods, and harden vulnerable points before damage can be done. For Russia, which often relies on hybrid warfare, this represents a major loss of leverage. What makes all of this even more unnerving for the Kremlin is the silent nature of Swedish innovation. Sweden does not make grand announcements or parade its military on national holidays. Instead, it builds quietly, upgrades continuously, and reveals only small hints of its capabilities. This secrecy forces Russia into guesswork, and guesswork is dangerous for any military power. Russia now finds itself facing a neighbor that it cannot bully, cannot predict, and cannot ignore. Sweden has moved from a position of cautious neutrality to a role as a key regional defender, capable of detecting submarines, monitoring airspace, countering cyber threats, and responding with precise and silent force if necessary. The Kremlin's concern is not that Sweden will start a conflict. It's that Sweden can now prevent one. Sweden's silent strike technology blocks surprise attacks, thwarts covert operations, and exposes aggressive moves long before they escalate. This removes many of Russia's traditional tools of influence. As Sweden continues investing in stealth drones, underwater robotics, autonomous defense systems, upgraded missiles, and intelligence fusion networks, Russia must reconsider its strategies in the Baltic region. Every year, Sweden becomes more capable, more connected, and more prepared. What was once a quiet, neutral country is now a technological shield protecting Northern Europe. Ultimately, Sweden's silent strike is not about aggression. It's about readiness. It's about having the power to stop threats without needing to shout. It's about maintaining peace through quiet strength. And that quiet strength is exactly why Russia is alarmed, because silent power is hard to measure, hard to counter, and impossible to intimidate. Sweden has reshaped the balance of power in the north, not through massive fleets or enormous armies, but through invisible networks, cutting-edge intelligence, and stealth technology designed to stay one step ahead. And as long as Sweden continues to advance at this pace, the Kremlin knows that its most dangerous opponent in the Baltic may not be the loudest or the largest, but the one moving silently beneath the surface, watching, preparing, and neutralizing threats before they can ever strike.